Hello, ako po si Andrea. So, as mentioned kanina, I am the editor of Youngstar. So, Youngstar ay print section siya ni Philippine Star at lumalabas kami every Friday. So, may issue kami yesterday. And then, siguro may short background din naman later. Pero for context, we do a lot of features talaga. So, yun talaga yung main bread and butter namin, kumbaga. At ang point lang naman ng talk na ito ay writer kayong lahat. Magsisimula pa lang, yun na ang mindset natin. Kumbaga, you are a writer, wala kang choice. The fact na nandito ka, writer ka na. So, hindi ko alam kung gumagana na yung chat, pero I wanted to start with a super simple question sana, just to get our minds off things. What are three things na nasa utak nyo right now? You can chat. Hopefully, okay na siya. Wait, let me check. Ayan, pwede na yata. So you
Teka.
can
So if hindi nila,
go.
sorry Andrea to cut
Go lang,
you,
go.
no? If hindi nila ma-chat, they can chat it to me and then I'll just relay. Pero medyo sariling sikap kasi tayo for today's session, ano?
Go lang, go, go.
So,
Pero,
if hindi ko pa siya maayos, you can just try and chat or baka napipindot na, I don't know. Okay, sige.
ayun.
I think napipindot na.
Okay.
Or baka sa co-hosts pa lang daw. So let me check again and I'll be back.
Okay, go lang.
Okay.
Pero, thank you, Shari. Thank you so much. So, three things in your mind right now. So, siguro, yung sa akin, eto, nilagay ko na siyang example sa slides. Una, yung mga bills. Siyempre. Kasi parang at the middle of the month, anong petsa na ba ngayon? June 13. Diyan kasi dumadating yung bills ko, like at the middle. So medyo iniisip ko siya. And then syempre, iniisip ko na anong kakainin ko later, lunch. Ang aga pa, pero nandun na yung utak ko. And then another thing that's on my mind right now ay yung Happy. Alam nyo ba yung parang naging meme na yon? Parang kahapon lang yata. If nakita nyo yung issue na yun about Haffies, tas ang daming lumabas na meme, ayan, 'di ba? Nasa utak ko 'yan ngayon. At lahat ng nasa newsfeed ko kanina, 'yan ang yan talaga ang sinasabi nila. So ayun, work, sabi nga, nasa isip ko din 'yan. Ang dami pang kailangan gawin. So babalikan natin mamaya itong mga nasa utak natin. And ito, as I mentioned kanina, we are a print youth section of the Philippine Star. Ganito yung itsura niya. So one page lang naman kami, pero we do our best with the one page that we have. So it's all very long stories. So usually mga 1,200 words to 2,000. So 'di ba with newspapers kasi ang daming laman in one page. Sa amin, we try to focus on long form work talaga. And a lot of it are written by young people mismo. Wait, eto na, lumalabas na ang mga three things in your mind. May isa daw, nakakita siya ng book recommendations for Hafis. Nakita ko yan. May nakita kong ganyan. Hafis, pero manananggal pala siya. Iba yung half, literal. Sobrang nakakatawa nun. And then, ito pa. Three things on your mind. Start of term, work, and Bicol Express. Ang sarap ng Bicol Express. And then another, mid-year lecture videos, gamot na iinumin ko for later, at next movie to watch. Tama. And then another, sorry babasahin ko, medyo na-entertain din ako, wait. Ito na, last na to. Mainit ngayon. That's something that's on my mind also. New album ni Olivia Rodrigo. Yes, oh my gosh. Short tangent. I loved it so much. Gandang-ganda talaga ako sa kung paano niya i-articulate yung mga feelings na medyo complex. Sobrang galing niya sa ganun. So I love that new album. Pakinggan niyo if hindi niyo pa napapakinggan. And then Senate. Tama, kung anong kinatawa kay Olivia Rodrigo, yan ang kinainis ko naman sa Senate. So a lot of things in our minds, a lot of personal, but also like wider social things. Some funny, some medyo serious. So babalikan natin yan later. So yan ang work namin sa Youngstar. And whenever I tell people na, oh, ang nagtatrabaho ako sa Philippine Star, sa print, like hindi kami online, like sa dyaryo talaga kami lumalabas. Ang response na lagi kong nakukuha ay, may nagbabasa pa ba ng dyaryo? Or when I tell them na, ay nagpo-post ako ng mga librong binabasa ko, ng mga book reviews sa TikTok, they would say, ay may nagbabasa pa pala ng libro. At naiintindihan ko naman kung saan siya nanggagaling, syempre, kasi hindi na talaga siya as thriving, I would say, as before. At totoo naman, nakikita natin yan in wider society talaga. Like, according to research last year, more than half or 66% of Filipinos ay nakakakuha ng balita nila sa social media. Kasama na ako doon, syempre, na kapag nag pagkagising ko sa umaga kung ang parents ko or grandparents ko ay nanonood ng TV, ng unang hirit, ganyan, or nagbabasa ng dyaryo, ako nagbubukas ako ng Facebook, nagbubukas ako ng Instagram, ta's dun ko nakikita ano nangyayari na parang, ay tumatakbo na pala si Bato, dun ko siya nakita sa Facebook, hindi ko na siya nakita sa other forms of media like TV or print newspapers. At marami yang kaakibat na iba pang social trends, 'di ba? So, fake news isa na diyan. Habang mas tumatagal siya, habang mas nagiging sophisticated ang fake news networks in the Philippines, mas mahirap na rin for us, mga regular na tao, to spot fake news, like hindi na natin alam totoo pa ba 'to or hindi, lalo na dahil nga sa social media tayo nakakakuha ng balita at sama-sama na dun yung reputable sources like actual news outlets versus mga influencers, mga vloggers, ganyan. At siyempre with generative AI, mas mahirap pa lalo na't gumagaling na silang gumawa ng photos and videos even. At dahil nga sa social media na lang din tayo kumukuha ng information natin, mas maikli na yung attention span natin, 'di ba? 'Pag nanonood ako ng TikTok, for sure may ilan sa inyo na ganito din. 2 times speed ko siya pinapanood kasi parang nababagalan ako dun sa pagsasalita nung user, nung creator. Sabi ko, grabe naman na parang 1 minute na nga lang yung video, hindi ko pa siya kayang tapusin ng as is, kailangan i-2 times speed ko pa siya. So, medyo alarming ang pagdwindle ng ating attention spans. At syempre, like on a student level, na napag-alaman sa recent EDCOM na marami talagang students ang nagsa-struggle with proficiency sa communication or problem solving or data analysis. And then 88% 88% of students na papasok ng grade 7 ay nagsa-struggle magbasa at the grade 7 level. So lahat naman yan ay parang magkaka-connect kumbaga at nag-e-exist siya in context of each other talaga. At siyempre yung mga batang ito, mga estudyanteng ito, eh paglaki nila, baka dala-dala pa rin nila yung ganong struggles with reading, with problem solving, ganyan. So I would say na it's a very ano ba, it's not hopeless pero it makes me sad syempre na parang ito yung mundo kung saan ako naging writer, ito yung mundo kung saan ako nabubuhay ngayon na ang dami-dami kong gustong gawin. Especially with my work in Youngstar, it's very focused on youth culture, on young people talaga. And it's very writing heavy nga na ang hahaba ng pieces, pero yung mga bata mismo, hindi na sila nagbabasa ng ganun kahaba. So I was thinking, ano pa ba, para sa pa ba to, di ba? Like may sense pa ba ang pagsusulat in this day and age? Pero I always think back siguro sa naging impact ng words sa buhay ko so far. So this is something na I always ask people. Can you remember a book or a song lyric or a line from a movie, etc., that made you feel seen? As in, pagkabasa mo pa lang sa kanya, parang, oh my gosh, relate ako dyan. Parang ganyan. Or pagkabasa mo pa lang sa kanya, naisip mo na may nakakaramdam din pala ng ganito. Or ang tagal ko na tong nararamdaman or nararanasan. Ngayon ko lang siya nakitang ma-put into words. So tuwing tinatanong ko to, I get like a lot of song lyrics, syempre, or mga lines from their favorite books. One of my favorite responses dito ay tinanong ko to sa elementary to medyo high school students. So I think grade 4 to grade 8 yung mga kausap ko nun. Tapos ang binibigay nilang sagot sa akin ay Back Burner by Nicki. If alam niyo yung kantang yon. Sabi ko, grade 6 ka pa lang, nakaka-relate ka na sa Back Burner by Nicki. Grabe naman. Pero ayun, di ba? Teka, bubuksan ko yung chat. Baka hindi ko
Puwede
nakikita.
na raw, puwede na raw
Ayan,
mag-chat to
perfect.
everyone.
Yay! So
Can you
ayun,
guys
if may
try? Sige, let's go.
ayun, sana all nakaka-relate sa Back Burner. Sabi ko, ang bata-bata mo pa, back burner ka na ha. So ayun, naaalala ko lang lagi kapag ah, iniisip ko may sense pa bang pagsusulat na the writing of other people, yung mga gawa nila is something that makes me feel so seen and understood. Kaya siguro nakikita ko na may relevance pa rin siya until now. So kayo ba, meron ba kayong like a favorite line or something? Ito, movie Four Sisters and a Wedding. Nako, sobrang relatable talaga niyan. Kahit na ano pang personality mo, may character dyan na magmamatch sa'yo talaga. Book, Call It What You Want. Yung romance. Hindi ko pa nababasa yan. Song, You're on Your Own Kid. Oh my gosh. Kwento ko lang. Love na love ko yung You're on Your Own Kid na yan by Taylor Swift. Para yan sa mga, ah, ano bang tawag doon? Parang gusto mong maging independent pero kailangan mo pa rin pala ng community mo. Parang ganyan yung message niya sa akin. Love na love ko yan. Wait, babasahin ko. Hala, wait lang. Ang bilis ng mga pangyayari. Snow White by Leve. I don't think I'm pretty. It's not up for debate. A woman's best currency is her body, not her brain. Exactly. Kaya love na love ko rin yan si Leve. Kahit na ang image niya kasi sa mga tao ay very lover girl. I think kasi she creates jazz music. Pero sobrang hard-hitting din ng writing niya. Ito pa, from Shari, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. And then, Matilda talaga. Oh my gosh, Matilda by Harry Styles ba to? I love Harry Styles. So, a lot of songs, di ba, about, ano bang tawag dito? Like, trying to find your way in the world. Yun talaga yung mga gusto natin. Mapa by SB19. Yes. And yung Breadwinner movie ni Vice. And then one day I will stop falling in love with you. Someday someone will like me like I like you. Grabe naman. Ito pa The Archer. They see right through me. And then Little Women, yung monologue ni Saoirse. Yes. Ano yun? Yung But I'm so lonely. Yung line na yun. Love na love ko rin yun. Wait lang. Hala, gusto kong basahin to lahat. Hala, wait lang. What's Wrong with Me, Olivia Rodrigo? O, bagong-bago. Kakalabas lang kagabi, di ba? As an UPOU student, really, really relates sa Ballad of the Homeschooled Girl ni Olivia Rodrigo, di ba? I'm on the outside of the greatest inside joke. Like, I don't socialize much, pero may FOMO pa rin. Thank you so much for sharing your responses. Sobrang nakakatuwa na, alam mo yun, na we're surrounded by so many pieces of media that makes us feel so seen, kahit na hindi naman natin personally kilala like si Olivia Rodrigo, ganyan. Or si SB19, or si Ben and Ben kanina nakita ko. Pero the way they articulate their experiences are sobrang impactful kumbaga sa atin kahit na it's as short as like a 3-minute song. So yun, kaya rin parang love na love ko talaga ang pagsusulat kahit na sabihin natin na oh, may AI naman na or maybe ang hirap maging writer sa Pilipinas. Pero at the end of the day, it really is words that kind of make me feel this way. So parang that's something na I also wanna keep sharing with people na it's words na parang ang words ang nagpaparamdam sa'yo ng ganito kahit na sobrang ikli niya lang or kahit na it's relatively like quote trivia like a movie or a song. 'Di ba? So, dahil ang dami-dami nating media that makes us feel seen, you can also make the world feel seen. You can also make other people feel seen by telling your story. Dahil nga words ang nagpaparamdam sa atin nun, kaya rin naman nating mag-string together ng words. Kaya rin naman nating magsulat, di ba? We can write a song or a film or a book. Pero this time, di ba, magsusulat tayo ng features. So here are just some of the stories that we've had sa Youngstar so far. Endorse ko na lang din, di ba? Kasi I'm so proud of them. Pero a lot of our stories are a mix of personal narratives and cultural criticism. I'll show you later anong itsura nun. Pero yun talaga yung parang main format namin. It's what I'm going to share with you also today. And siguro before the technical stuff, I do want to talk more about why write? Like, why does writing even matter now? So medyo nayap ko na siya kanina. Medyo ang dami ko nang sinabi about sa kanya. Pero I just wanna share like this quote from Melissa Febos, who is a nonfiction writer. Sinabi niya na writing is not transcription, but it's transformation. So I think yung the very act of writing in your journal, for example, kahit nang sinulat mo dyan ay, Dear Diary, today nagpunta ako sa palengke, bumili ako ng 2 kilong baboy, gagawin ko siyang pork adobo later. Kahit ganun lang kasimple, that's still a process of transformation. Kasi you're taking something intangible, like your memories, like the fleeting events that happened to you today. So you're taking that and you're making it into something tangible, into something um that's into something na may buto kumbaga, or like may backbone, and then you're articulating it using a medium that's easier for you to comprehend, like language. So may transformation talaga na nagaganap, like hindi lang siya transcription na sinusulat mo yung nangyari, but transformation kasi hindi naman nag-exist in language yung memory mo. Pero pag sinulat mo siya, tina-transform mo siya into language. So sobrang amazing lang nun na ganun pala yung pagsusulat kahit na sobrang it's an everyday thing that we do. Like yung pag-chat natin sa Messenger, that's also a form of writing. It's such an everyday thing. Tapos nung na-realize ko yung impact niya, sobrang laki pala talaga. Like the way we write shapes how we think, how we see the world. At ako personally, kaya love na love ko siya kasi it gives me like a sense of meaning. Kumbaga, like there is no other thing in my life that gives me that feeling of purpose more than writing, I would say. Kaya rin parang tawang-tawa ako when I get invited to talks like this kasi I get to share na maybe this is something you can do as well. Na you don't even have to make it a career. You just have to do it on your own, like you just have to see it as something you can do. And then maybe it can transform you too. So medyo na-excite ako dun sa ano ang dami ko nang sinabi about that. Pero ayun. And you don't even need an audience for writing to change your life. So syempre ako, dahil trabaho ko siya, may audience talaga. Pero hindi naman yung requirement for you to be a writer. Kaya rin ito yung parang title or the concept of the webinar. Kasi writer ka naman na kahit na walang magbabasa. The fact na nagsusulat ka, like you're putting pen to paper, that's writing. And ito nga yung sinabi ko kanina na the way we write shapes our thinking kasi that's how we process the world. So yung simpleng pag-chat mo lang na, etong ginawa ko today, chinat mo sa friend mo or sa, like sa family mo, that's you transforming your memories and that's writing already shaping your thinking. So ito na, dahil nga feature writing ang isusulat natin today. I would just like siguro to differentiate it from hard news or yung balita, the news articles that we usually see, 'di ba, online or sa mga dyaryo. So here's an example of a news article. It's very straightforward. So sabi dito, the Philippines slid to the 19th rank sa Climate Change Performance Index, 'di ba? So dati high tayo, high performer. Ngayon medium performer na lang. So when I see a news article like this, syempre it makes me feel ano ba, sad na, "Uy, bakit tayo bumaba?" Like disappointed or nakakagalit na, ako bilang regular na mamamayan, ano bang magagawa ko, para pataasin ulit ang rank ng Pilipinas dito. So, 'yan ang news, 'di ba? It's a very vital piece of media rin in society. That's how we get information, that's how we make informed decisions as citizens, that's how we participate in our democracy. Pero feature, I think, also has a specific function. So, syempre, nagbibigay din siya ng information kasi it's very research-based, but it's also emotional. Like, it makes you feel. 'Di ba with news, laging ano yan, parang journalism 101, especially sa'min like nung elementary ako, nung una ko siyang inaaral, na news articles should be objective. Yan ang papel niya. Ang papel niya ay mag-deliver ng information, ng data. With feature, medyo mas may leeway ka to put a little bit of yourself in it, to make it a little more emotional, bigyan siya ng parang emotional dimension. So kanina, kung yung balita ay bumaba daw ang ranking natin sa Climate Change Performance Index, here are three related feature articles that kind of tackle the same theme. And ito naman, parang mas nagfo-focus siya sa specific people or sa specific organizations or ideas that are kind of in response to that news article. So, meron palang mga young people or young activists who are trying to fight for climate justice in the Philippines kahit na hindi natin sila masyadong kilala. So, for example, yung dalawang features dito. And then, meron din palang alternative ways of living, like itong pangatlong example natin na pwede naman palang maging plastic free ang Pilipinas. Here are the cities that are already doing that, ganyan. So, syempre, informational siya kasi may matututunan ka na, ay, may ganito pala sa Pilipinas. But it also makes you feel kasi nakikita mo yung impact or yung effect ng ganitong balita sa totoong tao. So, nagkakaroon ng muka yung balita. At nagkakaroon din ng inspiration or ng hope na hindi naman pala huli ang lahat kasi may mga gumagawa pa pala ng action. At hindi ko sila makikilala if I didn't read the feature about it, ganyan. So, ang feature article naman, medyo na-touch on na yun kanina. Pero it's just something that appeals to a reader's emotions at nagpo-provide siya ng deeper discussion. Dahil nga mas mahaba siya, mas comprehensive siya, mas marami tayong pwedeng matouch on, mas marami tayong pwedeng magawa as opposed to like a standard news article. So meron akong mga example dito. Sobrang dali lang nito, as in sobra. Sasabihin niyo lang sa akin kung news ba siya or feature. Pero sobrang dali, as in parang kahit nakapikit kayo, kayang-kaya niyo to. Wait lang, bubuksan ko yung chat. Paano ba? Ayan. So halimbawa ito, See You, Spider-Man. How a comic book hero taught me how to be brave. Is this a news or a feature? Feature, exactly. O, di ba sobrang dali? It's so easy. Feature. Ito, next. Low pressure area likely to develop into cyclone. Naku, parang ngayon yan mangyayari. Ang dilim-dilim ngayon. Ayan, news, di ba? It's a very straightforward piece. News. Ito naman, Alex Ayala wins SEA Games tennis gold, ends long drought for PH. Yes, news. Love na love namin yan si Alex Ayala. Ang galing-galing niya. News. Sports news, to be more specific. Yes, exactly. Ito naman, my journey to becoming a doctor. Feature. Exactly. Ito, I think class na to. The toughest truths you learn in love. Nako, feature. Exactly. 'Di ba? It's a may sari-sarili talaga siyang functions, we would say, si news at si feature, syempre. Oh my gosh, heartbroken. Anong future? May matututunan kang tough truth in love in the future. Naku, abangan natin yan. So, di ba, it's a very, they're very different. Pero they get to the heart of the same thing. Na they want you to be informed. They want you to know about a certain things. So kanina 'di ba sinabi natin na features, they provide a deeper discussion and they make you feel things. So bakit nga ba? Bakit yung dalawang yun ang function niya? So why do we want to appeal to a reader's emotions? Kilala niyo ba tong lalaki na to? Tong lalaki na to na nasa slide natin ngayon, kung sino man siya. So siya si Andrew Tate. Baka naririnig niyo na yung pangalan niya. Sikat siya sa US as part of the manosphere. It's a very specific subculture sa West. Oo, ganyan pala ang itsura ni Andrew Tate, 'di ba? Medyo nagulat din ako na, ay, yan pala siya. So siguro for context, he's a very misogynistic public figure. Like he's a content creator, I think. At yung ethos niya lang naman ay um how do I explain? Like his work. Pero kung alam niyo yung The Male Loneliness Epidemic sa West, isa siya sa mga main actors talaga doon na sinasabi niya na kaya malungkot ang mga lalaki ngayon or like kaya feeling nyo pagod na pagod kayo or hindi kayo satisfied sa buhay nyo, kasalanan yan ng feminism, kasalanan yan ng mga babae sa buhay nyo, ganyan. So ganun ang messaging niya, kumbaga. So kaya siya yung binigay kong example kasi he's one of the people right now who gets the facts wrong but gets the feelings right. So what does that mean? Um so yung sinasabi niya na ah, dissatisfied ang mga lalaki ngayon. Malungkot sila sa buhay nila, feeling nila hindi ito yung buhay na pinromise sa kanila nung bata sila. Tama naman 'yon, 'di ba? Like nararanasan naman talaga 'yon ng mga tao, ng mga lalaki sa America specifically. So tama yung feelings, nakukuha niya, naka-capture niya kumbaga. Pero yung facts, yung reasons na sinasabi niya kung bakit yan yung nararamdaman nila, yun yung minamali niya, yun yung tinitwist niya. Kumbaga. At sa Pilipinas, sobrang common din ng ganyan. Teka, ayan. Nagbabasa akong comment. Pangit! Hoy, recorded talaga to. Recorded na tinawag natin pangit si Andrew Tate. Pero totoo. Yan yung messaging ng persona niya essentially. Parang very incel vibes or why do girls hate me? Ganon. At sa Pilipinas, sobrang common din ng ganyan. Like di na natin kailangang lumayo kay Duterte, for example. One of the big reasons then bakit na-elect siya noong 2016 is because of the middle class. Um, parang, how do you say, na medyo na disillusion si middle class. Kasi si mga ultra rich, syempre masaya sila. At yung mga nasa lower class, they get aid, may aid programs specifically made for them. And then si middle class, parang nadidisillusion sila na paano naman kami, laki-laki binabawas na tax sa amin, ganyan. Wala kaming nakukuhang tulong sa gobyerno. Tapos si Duterte, parang siya yung nagsabi na, "Oy, ako ang tutulong sa inyo, naiintindihan ko kayo," ganyan. So, 'di ba, nakaka-relate kumbaga, sinasabi na, "Oh, I know how you feel." So, dahil do'n, dahil nakikita natin na, ay alam niya, naiintindihan niya yung nararamdaman ko. Yun yung nagiging way niya para i-lead tayo sa maling information or sa facts na hindi naman pala talaga facts. Kaya yun, sobrang importante ng emotions din. Kahit na sabihin natin na in journalism wala dapat papel ang emotions, syempre objective storytelling pa rin dapat kapag balita. Pero may ibang portions naman ng newspaper or ibang uri ng pagsusulat kung saan nasa center stage talaga ang emotions. At may ganun siyang gamit kasi, sobrang potent niya din kasi. Kaya ang importante ng emotional storytelling, 'di ba? And it's emotions at the end of the day that can drive you to action or yun yung parang maaalala mo kasi na, "Uy, nagalit ako or nalungkot ako nung nabasa ko 'to," 'di ba? The way we live our lives, it's very emotional. Lalo na tayong mga Pilipino, ang OA kasi natin, eh. Kaya sobrang important ng emotions when we tell stories. So ito, another example na I just wanna share. Siguro the fact or the news article ay ito, nagkaroon daw ng decline in vaccine hesitancy or parang because of Dengvax siya, nung nagkaroon ng COVID, may mga tao in certain areas of the Philippines na natakot COVID vaccine kasi nga, naalala pa nila yung nangyari nung Dengvax siya, ganyan, na ayaw pa nilang, magpa-vaccine ulit. So that's the news article. And then we had a feature that's kind of related to that, written by a doctor to the barrio. At kinuwento niya lang yung experiences niya in trying to combat that vaccine hesitancy among people. Na ito yung mga ginawa ko para iparating sa kanila na vaccines are not evil or like wala naman siyang magiging drastic side effects to them. So it's a very personal story kasi experience niya yun, eh. Pero ang dami nating matututunan about the state of community health in that specific area or ano bang pinagdadaanan ng mga doctors to the barrio natin, ganyan. So it's a very emotional story but we learn so much and we remember it more Kasi may face tayong na-associate with it. And maybe it made us feel more empathetic to the people na may vaccine hesitancy kasi nakikita natin yung personal stories nila. So yun, that's why we appeal to a reader's emotions. Ito naman yung second function ni feature, which is providing a deeper discussion. Ito, kilala niyo ba tong babae na to? Kanina si Andrew Tate, ngayon. Sino to? Si Claudine Ko, ang isa sa ating Nepo babies na tinutustusan natin ang lavish lifestyle, di ba? So, bakit ba natin gustong mag-provide ng deeper discussion? Kasi ang dami nating nakikitang information, I would say, in our everyday lives, like from social media, tapos may balita, ang dami nangyayari lagi. Tapos may iba't ibang trends, may mga memes, ganyan. Tapos lahat yon ay hindi naman nag-exist in a vacuum. Lahat yon ay parang may reason bakit siya nauso, may context na baka hindi natin nakikita sa bilis ng transmission of information. So with writing features, dahil nga mas long form siya, it can help us dig deeper into these trends na bakit ba nauso to at this specific point in time? Like bakit nalabas tong movie na to, for example, at this specific point in time? Like what does this thing mean now? So halimbawa, yung kay Claudine ko, siguro quick context lang din. So isa siya dun sa mga sa kasali dun sa flood control issue last year. And then kaya siya yung nilagay kong example kasi she's one of the content creators talaga na yung content niya ay aspirational. Like kaya siya sumikat kasi lagi siya nagta-travel overseas or yung damit niya lahat designer tapos may separate Instagram account pa siya para sa mga damit niya at kung anong brand sila. So it's a very aspirational, it's a very lavish, I would say, lifestyle. At yun yung kinasikat niya as a content creator. And then nung lumabas yung balita na yung family niya pala ay kasali dun sa mga corrupt contractors. So yung yaman na fina-flaunt niya sa videos niya ay nakaw pala na yaman, di ba? So, nung time na yan, nung September, nung unang lumabas yung issue na yan, syempre binalita siya, lagi siyang binabalita. Pero ang nagpapalipad talaga sa kanya ay yung memes, yung mga memes tungkol sa Nepo babies, yung memes tungkol kay Claudine Ko, for example. So we can use features to kind of dig deeper into bakit ba sobrang naging meme si Claudine Ko. Like, bakit siya yung bunot, kumbaga. Marami naman ng instances of corruption in the Philippines, let's say. Pero sobrang, ito talaga yung sumabog. Yung kay Claudine Ko, yung kina Jamie Cruz, di ba? Yun talaga yung sumabog. And we can say na siguro kaya ganun kasi it's one thing to be corrupt. It's another to be corrupt tapos ipapagyabang mo pa yung mga nabili mo from the money that you corrupted, I would say. Kaya siguro sobrang naging inflamed yung response natin sa Nepo babies na to. Kasi parang, oh my God, all this time, di ba? Itong buhay na kinaiinggitan ko ay something that shouldn't belong to you either, kumbaga. So, yun ang nakakatawa kay feature. Sobrang helpful niya sa pagko-connect ng mga dots, sa pagbibigay ng specific context, ganyan. So, more technically speaking, paano ba nagkakaiba ang feature at news? Sinabi ko nga kanina na si news, syempre, lalo na kapag sa print media, na nakaset talaga ang space, ay maikli lang talaga siya. Ang goal mo lang talaga ay to deliver information and to do it in the clearest, most concise way possible. With feature, meron kang space to kind of play around. Mas may space ka to incorporate more of your research and to really tell human stories, to tell more emotional stories. So yun, it's longer and then it uses more descriptive and colorful language. So here's an example of that more colorful language. Kapag balita, ang importante lang naman na malaman ng reader ay masaya yung aso. So the dog was happy. Pag feature, we want the reader to be able to visualize ano ba yung kinukwento natin sa kanya. So, kanina, the dog was happy. With feature, we make it more specific. So, anong klaseng dog ba? The dog was a golden retriever at happy. Paano ba natin masabi na happy ang isang aso, di ba? Hindi naman yan magsasalita at sasabihin, saya-saya ko naman. So, we have to describe it for the reader. So, mula the dog was happy, kapag i-featurize natin siya, magiging the golden retriever wagged its entire body, spinning in a joyful circle. So if I was the reader, habang binabasa ko 'yan, mai-imagine ko yung golden retriever. Okay, umiikot siya at gumaganon-ganon yung tail niya, 'di ba? So navi-visualize ko. At siguro mas maaalala ko siya at mas i-impact niya ako kasi na-visualize ko kung ano yung binabasa ko, 'di ba? So ito ang parts of a feature article. Mamaya dadaanan din natin yung steps. Pero siguro ito muna, yung parts niya muna para din ma-visualize natin anong itsura niya, anong mga kailangang kasama para kapag may document na sa harap natin, hindi na siya gano'n ka-intimidating, 'di ba? So, unahin na natin si lead. Ang lead naman ay ano lang 'yan, fancy fancy term lang namin para sa first paragraph. So, ang goal lang niyan ay i-capture ang attention ni reader. Uh, it's essentially an invitation for the reader na basahin mo ko or like, I want you to keep reading, kumbaga. So, an example that I put here ay, babasahin ko lang. Every morning, as the sun rises over the city, a group of students walks through the same gate. Except today, something is about to change about their school forever. So, medyo may cliffhanger or may sense of intrigue na, ay, ano mangyayari? Like, what's gonna change about their school forever? Hindi naman kailangang lahat ng lead ay may ganitong cliffhanger. Pero, ang point lang naman ay what makes it strong ay if it captures the reader's attention. So something na I always advise with my writers sa Youngstar, for example, is it helps if you start with a personal anecdote. Kasi bakit ako magkakapake sa sasabihin mo kung hindi kita kilala? Parang ganon. So halimbawa, if a writer wants to write about online dating, for example, or yung experiences niya sa Bumble, mga ganyan. Kamusta ba ang dating scene for Gen Z? I would say na, can you start with bakit ka ba interested sa topic na to? Bakit ito ang napili mong isulat for us? Tapos sasabihin niya na, oh, kasi may pinagdaanan akong ganito, or like, kaka-uninstall ko lang ng Bumble kasi I was tired of it, ganyan. So sasabihin ko sa kanya, that's where you start. I want you to start with, bakit ka ba interesado sa topic na to? Kasi ako as a reader, mararamdaman ko din na kaya ka interesado kasi ganyan. So magiging interesado din ako. At syempre, nakakaengganyo din siyang basahin kasi parang chika siya na, ala, ano nangyari dito sa writer na to? Like, nag-uninstall siya ng Bumble, di ba? So, it's a very gripping, I would say, it's a very gripping way to start a feature article. So, yun lang naman ang ating first part, the lead. So, second part natin is the not graph. Again, it's just a very fancy term for the second paragraph. So, dito naman, we take this space to explain the relevance of the article, the relevance of the topic. Essentially, sa unang paragraph, di ba, kinapture natin yung attention ni reader. Ngayong nasa second paragraph na siya, bibigyan natin siya ng reason to care. Kumbaga, ang iniisip kasi ng reader ay, sige, nandito na ako. You have my attention. Why should I keep reading? What does this article have to do with me? Like, ano naman sa akin ngayon? So, dito natin ilalagay na baka may news article or recent trending topic na related dito sa topic na to. So halimbawa dito sa example natin kanina na every morning, a group of students walks through the same gate except today, something is about to change about their school forever. So kung yan yung lead natin, ang magiging not graph natin ngayon ay where is the school located, ilang students meron dyan, ano bang itsura ng everyday life nila, bago natin isplok, di ba, na ito pala yung difference. So, context lang din. So, dun sa online dating example natin, nung nagkwento na si writer for the first paragraph, baka sa second paragraph, maglalapag na siya ng statistics na bilang Gen Z, sobrang hirap talaga ng dating ngayon kasi ganitong percent of people meet online and that leads to failed relationships, mga ganyan. So maglalagay lang ng context na, why are you telling this story right now? Like, why publish this now? Why share this? Why write this now? Kasi ito yung social patterns that reflect it. Kasi ito yung mga nangyayari sa society right now that warrants a deeper discussion of this topic. Kumbaga. So yun ang ating first couple of paragraphs, si lead at si not graph. And then, eto na si body. Eto na ang laman talaga ng ating article. Ngayong nakikinig na ako as a reader, anong sasabihin mo? Like, what is there to say? Like, what is it that you want to say? So dito, i-share mo na yung story mo, yung research na nakalap mo. Mamaya dadaanan naman natin yung steps kung paano isulat ang body. Pero, ang main advice, or like the main thing that I always tell my writers ay, syempre, ikukwento mo yung personal experience mo. Kasi sinimulan mo na sa intro, itutuloy mo yan sa body. Pero, I want you to do your research as well. Kumbaga, magsisimula siya sa personal experience mo, pero it doesn't stop there. Parang I want it to be a gateway to the bigger phenomena or to bigger trends. Magsisimula tayo sa personal experience mo and then we zoom out to make it better. And then conclusion, ito na ang goodbye gift mo or parting gift mo to your reader. So this can be a call to action. Ano naman ngayon ang gagawin ni reader pagkatapos niyang basahin? May gusto ka bang gawin niya? Gusto mo bang i-uninstall niya din ang Bumble sa phone niya? Or it can be a thought-provoking statement, something na iisipin nila kahit natapusan nilang basahin yung article. 'Di ba? So it doesn't I think nung una ko natututong magsulat, my teachers always used to tell me na diyan mo isa-summarize lahat ng points mo, ganun. Pwede rin naman 'yon, 'di ba? Pero mas interesting lang siguro if you end it with like a call to action or a thought-provoking statement. It doesn't have to be very formal na, I therefore conclude, ganyan. Siyempre kasi mas playful naman tayo with features. So we can make it more interesting. So eto na, how to write a feature. Okay pa ba kayo diyan? Okay naman, klaro naman po ang pag-explain ko nung parts of a feature. Let me know. Pusuan or kung ano man, let me know. Teka, iinom lang ako ng kape. Ayan. So, paano ba magsulat ng feature? 5 steps lang at sobrang dali. Sobra-sobra. So, una, topic selection, syempre. I think it helps na you think in terms of stories, not necessarily as topics. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? We can say na ang topic natin kanina ay online dating nga. So, kung ako ay writer, sabihin ko, I want to write about online dating. Ako as an editor, ang isasagot ko sa kanya ay, what about online dating? Like, ano naman? Ano naman? Anong meron? Ang tagal-tagal na ng online dating, ang tagal-tagal niya nang nag-exist, ang dami-daming taong gumagawa sa kanya. Anong isusulat mo? Like, what is the story behind the topic? So, ang story maybe ay, ako bilang Gen Z ay napagod na ako sa kanya to the point na it affects how I see other people around me. Na parang tinitrain niya akong makita ang relationships ko as transactional. Kasi ganun ang ang point of action or ganun ang mindset kapag nag-online dating ka na. Unang tingin mo pa lang sa kanya, do I like that person? Do I not like that person? Do I swipe left? Do I swipe right? So yun yung story behind the topic. And I think the most interesting topics also ay if you're a writer tapos hindi mo alam yung mismong sagot sa isusulat mo, I think that's so interesting. Kasi may point of discovery din or may process of discovery din for you as a writer. At sobrang interesting nun kapag una pa lang hindi mo na alam. Like, tsaka mo palang madi-discover when you research. I think that's so interesting, di ba? At kanina, kaya ko tinanong kung anong mga iniisip natin, yung 3 things that we've been thinking about. Kasi dyan pa lang, sa 3 bagay na iniisip natin, ang dami-dami ng topics na pwede dyan. So yung iniisip natin kanina na trabaho, ang dami nang pwedeng masulat about that. Yung album ni Olivia Rodrigo, pwede nang may masulat dyan. Like a feature article about why Filipinos relate so much to Olivia Rodrigo, mga ganyan. So sobrang dami ng stories just within the things that we're thinking about constantly. Kaya rin ang saya-saya magsulat ng feature kasi it's very malleable. You can make a feature out of anything. Kaya rin love na love ko siya. So ito yung mga examples just from Youngstar, from our publication. So magsisimula siya with a simple thought. Like halimbawa si writer na to, hindi ako nakapasa sa dream university ko. So yun ang dinadamdam niya at that moment. And then, tinurn niya yon into a feature na, is the Big Four that big of a deal? So, nag-interview siya dito ng iba't ibang educators, ng mga students na, saan ba nagsimula yung Big Four? Like, sino nagsabi na silang four ang Big Four? And I think it's a very interesting article kasi hindi niya rin naman alam at first. Hindi niya rin alam bakit ba Big Four, bakit itong schools na ito yung kasama. Nalaman niya lang while doing the research, while writing the story. At nakita mo yung thought process niya in the article itself. Kaya it's so interesting. And then here's another, ito yung sinasabi ko kaninang example natin. Ang pinitch niya lang naman sa akin, or ang initial idea niya ay, ayoko na makipag-talking stage. Sobrang nakakapagod. Ang talking stage ay hindi tunay na conversation with a human person. It's so exhausting. So, na-turn namin siya into a feature article titled, Why Does Modern Dating Feel Like Washing the Dishes? So, why does it feel like a chore? When it's something na I should be enjoying because I'm in my early 20s, ganyan, or I'm an independent woman in Manila, dapat this is something na I do for fun, pero it just feels like a chore. And then here's another, kahit yung mga showbiz chika natin, mga speculations natin, pwedeng-pwede rin niyang maging feature article. So yung pag-wonder natin, magjowa na ba si Ashtin at Andres Mulak? Mulak ba? Tama ba? O kung magjowa na ba sila, pwede natin yung gawa ng deeper discussion na bakit ba sobrang obsessed natin sa love teams? Considering na love teams are a very Filipino, like it's a distinctly Filipino phenomenon. Like wala namang love team sa Hollywood, for example. Bakit sobrang bentang-benta niya sa atin? And then, I think this is my last, hindi pa pala. Ito, another feature that we did, it started with the writer wondering kung may sense pa ba na nag-aral siya ng communications or ng arts in college. When pagka-graduate niya, nauso bigla si ChatGPT, si Gemini. So nagsulat lang siya ng something more personal, entitled, If We Keep Letting AI Write Our Stories, Who Will Remember How We Felt? And then for my last example, kahit yung mga brain rot natin, mga memes natin na feeling natin sobrang hindi maintindihan kung anong ibig sabihin, like mula 6'7" hanggang sa hawak mo ang beat, like Dubai, chewy ko kay ano tara, yung mga umaandar lang na ganyan sa utak mo, pwede rin nating magawa ng feature yan. So ginawa yan ng isang writer namin about screen time naman. Bakit ba sobrang hirap pababain ng screen time? Bakit pagkagising niya pa lang sa umaga, nagsa-cellphone na siya? Bakit kahit simpleng pagwawalis sa bahay nila, hindi niya magawa nang hindi nakabukas yung iPad niya? So just these small, like seemingly trivial things we do and encounter every day, lagi namang may context yan. Lagi namang may deeper discussion behind everything. So that's where a feature article comes in. And yun yung mga pinaka-interesting, at least for me, yung mga bagay na hindi natin masyadong napapansin na ay may something pala behind it. Like the long-standing beliefs that we've had, like about the Big Four or about our screen time, ang dami palang pwedeng himayin tungkol dyan. At sa paghihimay na yun, mas nakikilala natin yung sarili natin, mas nakikilala natin yung lipunan natin, yung mundong ginagalawan natin. Kaya ang saya-saya talagang magbasa ng features. Ang saya-saya magsulat ng features. Hindi ko alam kung nasasayahan din ba kayo. Pero ayun, yun ang, at least for me, yun ang ano niya, strength niya talaga. So yun, nagsimula tayo sa topic selection. Ang step 2 natin dyan ay research naman. Ito ang pinaka-importante. At I think, ito ang pinakamatagal. Kasi ito ang, ito yung laman eh. Ito yung ano ba, main course, kumbaga, na ilalagay mo sa feature mo. So, syempre, sabi ko nga kanina, magsisimula tayo sa personal experience, pero yung personal experience mo, ang mag inform pa lang ng questions na itatanong mo sa research mo. So, sa mga halimbawang ito naman ay, yun nga, nagsimula sa personal experience, sa sariling hinaing, ganyan. Pero it leads to bigger questions. Like, halimbawa, itong Goodbye Girl Boss on detaching my worth from my productivity. Nagsimula yan sa simpleng, parang napapagod ako magtrabaho. Parang ganyan. Na bakit feeling ko kapag nagpapahinga ako or nagpa-file ako ng leave, parang nagigilty akong magpahinga. So, saan ba nanggagaling yung pakiramdam na yun? So, it's a very personal, again, it's a very personal story, it's a personal experience, pero it leads to bigger questions of ano ba ang work culture natin? Ano ba ang epekto ng hustle culture sa kung paano tayo mabuhay, 'di ba? Um, Kamusta ba ang management style sa Pilipinas? What makes it so hard to take a break? Kumbaga. So, it leads you to bigger questions na tsaka mo naman i-research dito sa step na to. And ang pinanggagalingan ko dito ay siguro dahil sa training ko as a behavioral sciences student, hindi naman ako nag-aral ng like nung college ako, hindi journalism ang course ko. Behavioral sciences talaga. It's a very social science background. At ang isa sa mga unang natutunan ko pagkapasok ko pa lang ng Besay, first year, first time pa lang, ay the self, kung paano natin i-construct ang sarili natin, ang identity natin, it's a social process. So kahit na on paper, it sounds like an internal processing. Kasi nga self mo, binubuo mo identity mo, fina-form mo, syempre sa'yo yan. Pero kung paano siya nangyayari, it happens with other people, like within a social group. So halimbawa, ikaw bilang tao, nahuhubog ka ng culture mo, nahuhubog ka ng ibang tao na nasa paligid mo. So that includes like your family, your Filipino identity, your school, kung taga kung saan ka nakatira. Like ako sa Cavite ako lumaki, so parang feeling ko sobrang na-affect ako nung kung anong culture sa Cavite, sa kung sino ako ngayon. So it shapes me, pero ako as a participant in society, as a participant in that culture as well, nahuhubog ko rin siya. Kumbaga umiikot lang siya. So society shapes me, but I also shape society. How does that happen? Kapag nag-perpetuate ka ng yung mga norms, kapag sumusunod ka sa halimbawa gender norms, ganyan, or uh, ako bilang editor sa isang publication halimbawa, kung sino yung bibigyan ko ng opportunity ma-publish or like sinong magkakaroon ng opportunity na ma-amplify yung gawa nila. I think that has in some way an ability to shape the world as well. Kasi na may direct access ka sa kung anong mababasa ng maraming tao, kumbaga. So, parang ano siya, umiikot na process. It's a very social process. And then there's a social phenomenon or like a term from sociology na natutunan ko din na dinadala ko hanggang ngayon sa pagsusulat ko. So, tinatawag siyang sociological imagination. So, ang sinasabi niya lang naman na yung seemingly personal problems natin, like ang hirap makahanap ng trabaho, ay hindi lang siya nangyayari dahil sa individual shortcomings, kundi meron siyang bigger or larger social forces behind it. So ano bang reasons bakit ang hirap makahanap ng trabaho halimbawa? So we can say na sige, individual shortcomings na maybe hindi tugma yung course ko nung college or baka may mas magaling quote, mas magaling talaga. Pero may larger forces din na, oh, because may generative AI na ngayon, kaya nawawala na yung mga entry-level jobs or ang hirap lang talaga ng economy ngayon because of inflation. So, sociological imagination is what enables us to imagine nga the social forces behind seemingly personal or seemingly individual things that happen to us. So, that's, I think, something vital na you discover in the research that you do for a feature. Kasi you point the reader na, ito pala yung reasons behind. Na it doesn't have to be just like kung ano mang nangyayari specifically to you. Meron pala talagang something that shapes our experiences. So here's another example. This is about, yun nga, yung sinasabi ko na hustle culture, ganyan. Kamusta ba ang work culture natin dito sa Pilipinas? So it started with a personal experience. So kinukwento lang dito ni writer na nagfo-food prep or nagmi-meal prep daw siya. If alam niyo yun, yung parang Sunday pa lang magluluto na siya ng maraming pagkain. Tapos i-ref niya lang or i-freezer niya. Tapos yun na yung kakainin niya for the rest of the week. So it started as that, kinukwento niya lang. And then at the end, nagka-realizations na siya na bakit sobrang busy ko to the point na kahit mismong pagkain ng meals, hindi ko magawa. Bakit nagtitiis ako sa meal prep food na hindi na masarap, na ang lamig na or like hindi na siya as fresh para lang makatipid ako sa oras. Like bakit mag-isa na lang akong kumakain when I could be eating with my family, ganyan. What is it about my work that makes it so important more than eating itself? So, again, started with something personal. It led to bigger questions of what is it about our work culture? What is it about capitalism that leads us to live this way? And then, after your research, you plan and you structure. So, the way I do it, I sinusulat ko muna lahat ng parang personal things or like yung pinanggagalingan ko kung bakit ko siya sinulat. So, isulat ko siya na parang ito kasi yung pinagdaanan ko, ito yung mga realizations ko, kami-kami. And then, while I do my research, sinusort ko na siya into major themes. So, halimbawa, yung essay kanina na Goodbye Girl Boss on detaching my worth from my productivity. Habang nagbabasa ka lang, may mga umuusbong na dyan na themes na pwede mong gawing roadmap for your article. So, du nung nagre-research ako lumalabas na yung, 'pag kasi una mong natututunan yung feminism, for example, nakikita mo yung, na-e-equate mo ang feminism sa careerism or sa corporate success kumbaga. At nakikita mo yung trabaho mo bilang kaakibat ng worth mo as a person or because of the pandemic, ngayon natututo tayong magtrabaho 24/7 instead of just 9 to 5. And the system was built that way. Mga bagay na nakita ko when I was writing. So sinort ko na lahat ng napag-alaman ko at may nakita na akong sub-themes. At yung sub-themes na yan ang magdidikta ng magiging outline or ng roadmap mo habang sinusulat mo na siya. And then writing, ngayong meron ka ng outline or at least sub-themes na pwede mong gawing basis, pwede ka na magsulat. At another important thing with features ay yung language. It's different than a news article. So we show, hindi natin sinasabi, we don't tell, we show. So we always try to use specific details to make the reader feel na kasali sila, na nakikita nila sa harap nila yung kinukwento mo. Pero syempre, wag naman OA level. So, may example ako dito, tatlong example. So, itong unang example, the student studied hard to pass the exam. So, that's a very straightforward, informative statement. Game, go. Pwede, pwede na. Pero we can improve it, we can featurize it by giving more details. So, ano bang ibig sabihin ng studied hard, di ba? So, sinabi ko dito, having spent 3 sleepless nights going over their notes, it's no wonder the student aced the exam. So, yun pala ang ibig sabihin ng studied hard, 'di ba? Nagpuyat siya ng 3 gabi. Binabasa niya lang yung notes niya at nakapasa siya. So, mas na-visualize ko at feeling ko mas nakilala ko yung student kasi yun pala yung ginawa niya, 'di ba? Pero wag naman to the point na over na, 'di ba? Itong pangatlo nating example, after 3 torturous, coffee-fueled sleepless nights buried in notes, the wary hero of a student unsurprisingly conquered the exam. Ang dami ng words. Nalunod na tayo, 'di ba, sa mga highfalutin thesaurus words. So syempre it's important and it's fun to play around with language pero not to the point na nalulunod na si reader, hindi niya na nakuha yung main message mo kumbaga. So, um, sige parang feeling ko ang dami ko ng sinasabi so lalaktawan ko na 'to. Pero if gusto niyang i-try, na parang i-try niyo lang yung ganitong uri ng writing, puwede kong ibigay sa inyong prompt yung isang example natin kanina na what's a tough truth about love that you recently learned? Parang just trying to answer that question, I think it can lead you to the kind of language na ganito na medyo mas descriptive, medyo mas detailed, 'di ba? So maybe after the call, sa notes app nyo lang sa phone or like may mga journal kayo dyan, try nyo lang din sagutin na what's a tough truth about love that you recently learned? And then our last step, step 5 is editing. Um, ito, medyo ang hirap niyang gawin kasi feeling mo pagkatapos mong isulat, okay na yan na yun. Pero this is a crucial step pa rin talaga kasi yan ang magpapapolish or ang magme-make sure na near publishable state na si draft mo. So you walk away for a few hours, parang maglakad-lakad ka muna, you touch some grass as they say. Tapos balikan mo na lang yung piece mo with fresh eyes. So here are some questions you can ask yourself as you edit. Na syempre may mali ba sa spelling or sa grammar at yung sentences ko ba ay nagme-make sense? Like madali ba siyang basahin? Are they clear? Nagfo-flow ba naturally yung body? Lahat ba tama? Syempre, like nag-research ka, let's just make sure na tama yung sinabi mo, na trustworthy yung sources na ginamit mo, na yung statistics na naka-include ay accurate talaga. And then, syempre, kung na-communicate mo ba yung gusto mong message, na kung may sinimulan kang topic, tas after mo isulat, nandun pa rin ba yun? Na communicate mo pa rin ba siya? Diba? And then, siguro more advice or tips na lang na kapag nagsusulat ka na for an audience, like if you are thinking of publishing your feature, ganyan, meron akong dalawang common mistakes na nakikita sa beginning writers, especially since yun nga ang trabaho ko, parang I work with mostly first-time writers. So ito yung the most common advice I think na sinishare ko sa kanila. Common mistake number 1 is content, aka not doing enough research. So ang ibig sabihin nito ay, again, it always starts with your personal experience. Pero starting point lang talaga siya. Hindi dapat diyan natatapos yung piece mo. Kasi nga, features dive deeper into an issue. So kapag natatapos siya sa experience mo, parang medyo mababaw pa yung examination natin. Palalimin pa natin, di ba? At yung piece mo, kapag pinublish mo na siya, it becomes in conversation with existing work. So, marami nang nasulat all around the world about all different kinds of topics. Hindi naman ibig sabihin nun na hindi mo na isusulat yung sayo. It just means na you are now in conversation with other people, with the articles of other people. At conversation entails na two-way siya. Kumbaga magsasalita ka, magsusulat ka, pero makikinig ka rin sa kanila, 'di ba? Titignan mo din ano bang mga na-publish na, ano bang mga napag-usapan na. This can be as simple as i-google mo yung topic mo, tapos babasahin mo yung mga lalabas. Yun na yun, parang research na yan. Tinitingnan mo na and acknowledge mo na yung existing conversations around that specific topic. And then, common mistake number 2, eye structure, aka not doing enough reading. So, kung okay ang research, 'di ba? Okay na ang malaman na kumbaga ang lahat. Pero kung paano mo siya isulat ay hindi siya nakakaengganyo. Um, hindi hindi rin niya nafo-fulfill kumbaga yung ganong aspect of a feature. Kasi nga ang feature ay storytelling, it's medyo mas emotional, 'di ba? So it's not just what you say but how you say it. There are a million ways to say one thing. Kaya ang dami-daming kanta tungkol sa pag-ibig, ganyan. Not just sa Pilipinas, but all around the world. Essentially, they're the same emotion, they're the same feeling, pero ang dami nilang iba't ibang ways to express it. And yun yung nagme-make ng difference eh. That can be a reason why you're still writing. Kasi you want to convey something in a specific way. At I think medyo biased ako kasi mahilig ako magbasa. Pero ang way talaga para ma-improve yung ganon or para magkaroon ka ng playfulness with your language ay magbasa. It doesn't even have to be books, kahit ibang feature articles lang din. Kasi nakikita mo anong possible na gawin with language na parang, ay, pwede palang magsulat ng ganun. Like, pwede pala na ganito ko siya sabihin. Kasi kapag mga ano lang, um, he said, let's break up. She was sad. She started crying. It's a very robotic. Hindi na siya masaya. At hindi mo nararamdaman. Kahit na alam mo yung nangyayari, hindi mo siya na-feel. So I think when you read, nakakakita ka ng iba't ibang ways to communicate feeling, to convey emotion. And then, I think last stage na to ng aking talk, medyo ang dami ko sinabi dal-dal. Pero 4 more lessons lang, just to wrap things up, 'di ba? Mga natutunan ko lang din siguro over the years. So una sa lahat, have faith in your own work, in your own opinions and analysis. I think it can be very scary, especially in my case nga, since young star ang hawak ko at hindi na sobrang common, especially when I was starting out, na kapag a-attend ako ng halimbawa mga meeting sa Philstar, ako yung pinakabata doon, ganyan. Tapos lahat sila ay parang 10 taon na silang nasa Philstar. Tapos ako parang kakasimula ko pa lang, syempre. So sobrang nakakatakot siya. At sobrang, I think, halaga nung time na yun na nagkaroon ako ng belief or faith sa sarili kong gawa at sa gawa ng writers ko. Alam ko naman na ginawa namin yung due diligence namin, na nag-research naman talaga kami, 'di ba? Na alam naman namin yung mga pinaglalagay namin diyan. So just have faith in your own opinions and analysis. At syempre, have faith na writer ka. Writer ka naman na talaga. The fact na nandito ka, 'di ba? At the fact na parang gusto mong mag-put ng pen to paper, that's already being a writer. And number two, never aspire to be the final word. Ito ay natutunan ko nung nagsimula na akong mag-post sa TikTok a few years ago. Dati kasi nung nagsa-start ako, to be fair, medyo bata pa ako nun at ang dami-dami kong time. So nakikipag-away talaga ako sa comment sections na parang 'pag may nagdi-disagree sa'kin, sasabihin ko na, "Ano ba 'to, bawal bawal ang 80-80 dito, bawal mag-comment ang mga 80-80," ganyan. Away talaga, as in parang gusto ko ako ang panalo sa argument, kumbaga. Pero matututunan ko din na una sa lahat, counterproductive na siya. Kasi ang hirap talaga makipagdiskurso online. Wala namang kasing context at nade-dehumanize mo yung kausap mo. Kasi nga parang faceless account lang. And so yun, counterproductive siya, wala naman siya nagagawa. And na-realize ko din na I don't ever want to call out a person. Parang I would rather call them in. Kumbaga, na I don't want to win over them. I want to win them over. Especially kapag yung topic ay it's a very inflammatory topic like yung flood control nga or halimbawa abortion, ganyan. Nung nalabas yung movie na Sunshine ni Maris Racal, I made a video about that. Tapos parang medyo nagka-discussion sa comments, ganun. Na I think it's so much more productive to just acknowledge saan sila nanggagaling. And to make them realize na hindi naman tayo magkalaban, 'di ba? Tayo naman ang nakakaintindi sa isa't isa. As opposed to like sina Duterte, sina Bato, sina Marcos, 'di ba? Tayong dalawa ang mas nakaka-relate sa isa't isa. And then I also try na at the end of every video, may libro na i-recommend kung gusto pa nilang magbasa about that specific topic, 'di ba? Para hindi ako yung huling boses na maririnig nila about that topic, 'di ba? May next step sila, kumbaga. And then number three, never aspire to be the first, always aspire to be meaningful. Um, it can be very tempting na kapag may sumabog na issue, na ikaw na agad ang unang magpo-post ng parang hot take or like, ito ang opinion ko dyan. Kasi syempre, yun ang siguro sobrang specific na nito sa like in my work. Pero kung ikaw ang unang mag-publish ng article or ikaw ang unang mag-post sa TikTok about it, ikaw talaga ang magkaka-viewers, ikaw ang magkaka-engagement kasi ikaw na una eh. Pero hindi naman yun, para sa akin, hindi siya something to work towards. Mas gugustuhin ko pang maging meaningful na lang. Kasi parang naging ano na lang siya, noise. Parang nag-contribute ka na lang sa noise instead of like taking a step back and actually thinking deeply na ano ba to? Like ano bang nangyayari? Ano bang dapat malaman ng mga tao about this? Siguro ang example ko dito ay nung sumabog yung very showbiz yung example na naisip ko. Pero nung sumabog yung issue ni Maris Racal at ni Anthony Jennings, if naalala niyo yun, of like, nag-cheat daw sila, tas yung ex-girlfriend ni Anthony Jennings ay naglabas ng screenshot sa Instagram stories, ganyan na ito yung convo nila. So, syempre, pinagpiyasahan yun ng mga tao. And then, nangyari yun, I think in the middle of the night or madaling araw na, ganyan. So, yung mga publications, yung mga digital magazines, paunahan na yan. Kahit gabi na, nagsisilabasan yan lahat na parang cheating is never the answer, ganon. Or parang, hindi ako makapaniwala na ginawa yun ni Maris, fun pa naman niya ako, mga ganyan. Which is okay, sige, these are like responses mo talaga, like these are emotional responses. Pero bilang publication, sana meron kang accountability man lang na this is something na makikita ng maraming tao. So maybe let's think a little more about what we wanna say and what we wanna contribute to the conversation, 'di ba? So mas meaningful sa akin kapag ganon na medyo pag-isipan muna natin, laliman natin ang reasons kung bakit gusto natin magsulat about a certain topic. And then lastly, number 4, never let ChatGPT live your dreams. Syempre may gamit naman talaga ang generative AI. That is a very useful tool Grammarly pa lang AI yan. Sobrang helpful niyan. Pero in terms of writing, constructing sentences itself, I would pref- prefer or like I would advise talaga na try lang muna. Na try nyo na tayo mismo ang gumawa. Tayo mismo ang magsulat. Kasi nga, when it comes to writing, the process is the point. The process is when the transformation occurs. Kaya I would want na kahit sobrang hirap, kahit sobrang tagal, tsatsagain talaga natin. Na parang, sige, isulat natin yan. Kaya naman natin yan. Tsaka that's when we discover exciting things na pag nagsulat ka lang nagsulat, baka dun mo ma-discover na ito pala yung gusto kong sabihin, tsaka mo ma-articulate ng maayos yung gusto mong i-convey talaga. 'Di ba? At ako bilang editor, siguro sa trabaho ko na lang din, mas gugustuhin ko ng mag-edit ng draft na mali-mali yung grammar or like siguro may mga typo, ganyan. Mas gusto ko na yon kesa sa chat GPT generated draft na alam ko naman na hindi talaga galing dun sa writer. Kasi nga, ang papel ng Youngstar specifically ay to give a platform to what Gen Z thinks. At yung pinasa na chat GPT essay, hindi naman siya, like maybe it's not super reflective of what Gen Z thinks kasi hindi siya galing mismo sa Gen Z. So parang yun yung pinanggagalingan ko na I wanna know what you think. Like I wanna know what's inside your heart. Yan. So okay lang na quote pangit in your eyes, we can always edit. Kaya nga tayo nag-edit, diba? To make it better. And meron akong bonus pang number 5. Okay lang naman for your dreams to change. Maybe you're a writer na hindi na to pinursu as a career. Okay lang yun. As long as you never stop writing, 'di ba? Hindi mo naman kailangan ng job title para matawag na writer. Again, paulit-ulit pero para maalala nyo, writer ka na ngayon pa lang. The fact na you're here, the fact na you wanna learn, that's already writing. Okay lang na parang 5 years ka na hindi nagsusulat. Okay lang. The fact na it's something na gusto mong gawin, that's already being a writer. So, thank you so much. At kung meron kayong mga existing features or personal essays, you would say na you're particularly proud of, tas gusto nyong ma-publish siya sa Jaryo, you can email me. Ito yung email ko. Yan na yun mismo. Tapos sabihin nyo lang, oh, umaten po ako nung talk sa UPOU. Here's my work. And yan. We will, i-review namin to see if like maybe it's something we can publish sa Youngstar. So yan, thank you so much!
Okay, game na. Question and answer portion na tayo. You can raise your hand, wait for you to be recognized, or you can also type it in the chat box na gumagana na ngayon. So, para masabi natin ano yung mga questions. Okay. Actually, meron kanina, Andrea, simulan ko na ano. Um, interested siya kung meron daw bang ideal na word count ang features articles.
Siguro, mga around 1,000. So, yung mga 900 to 2,000, medyo ang laking range. Pero yun yung para sa akin, ideal na mahaba na siya enough to really dig deep into an issue but short enough na siguro hindi mabobore si reader, ganyan.
I would like to ask your views of writing. Is it better to write in the laptop or by hand?
Oh my gosh! Tama ang tinanong mo na kaming dalawa ni Shari kasi pareho kaming nagsusulat by hand talaga. Like, nung una kami nag-meet, pareho kami naglabas ng notebook. Sabi ko, okay, parang gumana ang loob ko. Kasi iba talaga eh. Kasi walang distractions, syempre. So yung pagsusulat kamay, parang it's a good starter na diyan ka magbe-brain dump, ganun. Pero like in my process personally, so brain dump, handwriting, tapos pag isusulat ko na siya, like magre-research na ako or like sisimulan ko na talaga siya sa laptop na para matrack ko din yung hyperlinks ng research ko or ayun, para makita ko din ilang words na, ganyan. So, medyo mix of both.
Eto, meron ka raw bang book recommendations para ma-polish yung writing skills nila as a beginner?
Um, nung nagsa-start ako, ang naging Bible ko talaga or parang handbook ko ay Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. Wait lang, itatype ko siya dito. Hindi naman siya writing book, pero gustong gusto ko kasi yung style of writing niya. kung paano niya minimix yung personal sa cultural, ganyan. So feeling ko, siya talaga ang may kasalanan ng lahat. Kung bakit ganito ako magsulat at ganito yung parang sinishare ko lagi. Na sa kanya ko talaga nakita na, oh my gosh, pwede palang ganito magsulat. Na parang nagkukwento ko lang, tapos biglang may pasok na ng research. Ang galing-galing nung kung paano niya pinaghalo lahat. So I think yan. Yan yung nag-demonstrate sa akin ng
Thank you, Andrea. Siguro ano rin kasi 'no, parang it doesn't necessarily have to be like how to polish
mm,
your writing skills. It can be a book na nag-e-exemplify na nun, 'di ba?
yeah, exactly.
Yes. So second to the last question, do you have any tips about pitching stories to publications or media outlets as someone who's unaffiliated with any? So siguro perhaps starting out pa lang, ganyan, should we prepare a full article already or would a brief explainer about the story suffice?
Oh. Ito yung para sa akin, pero I'm sure na parang similar din for other editors. I would prefer na idea muna. So, it's like a pitch na may headline. So, yung headline ay itry na nating i-match sa kung anong writing style ng publication na pinipitch natin. Pag kasi ganun, parang na-visualize ko na siya na parang, okay, sige. Like, this is a Youngstar article talaga. So, it starts with a headline and then siguro mga 3 to 5 sentences about your idea. Sobrang useful kapag yung sinabi ko nga kanina na you pitch a story, not necessarily a topic. So if you want to write about online dating, like what is it specifically about online dating? Bakit ngayon? At bakit ikaw? So why now? Kasi may nakita kang research na Gen Z dating is ganito ganyan right now. Or bakit ikaw? Kasi ito yung napagdaanan ko about it. Like ito yung mga reflections ko from my experiences, ganyan. So that can be super short, pwedeng naka-bullets lang, pwede din yun. And then, if unaffiliated, okay lang yan, as long as meron kang mapapakita na parang writing sample. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be published, it can just be in a PDF or sa Substack mo, sa personal Substack mo, just to give the editor a sense of yung writing style mo, like yung voice mo as a writer. So ayun lang, you don't have to submit a full draft. Parang mas prefer pa nga namin na hindi mo na full. Kasi baka magbigay pa kami ng mga kot-kot namin dyan na, uy, pwede bang isama mo yung ganitong theme, ganyan. So ayun, headline, short explanation of the idea, and then writing samples.
Ayun. Thank you, Andrea. Dagdagan ko lang, siguro I guess a good tip would also be parang put yourself out there. So once meron na
Yes!
kayo nung nasabi ni Andrea, just put yourself out there. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? May mawawala ba sa inyo, 'di ba? So just pitch
Tama.
lang kayo ng pitch.
Yes.
Last question for today. If we aren't in any publications or orgs, how would you suggest we get feedback on our writing and how can we improve if self-taught lang daw sila? If self-taught pala, hindi lang, sorry.
Hmm. I think ganyan din ako when I was starting out, like in college. Hindi, basta nga yung course ko, so like hindi writing related. And then wala din akong writing orgs. Hindi ako sumali sa campus paper kasi iniisip ko na parang hindi pa ako ready. Like, it's so scary, ganyan. So, uh, tinry ko siya nung una as in my blog lang talaga, para lang no pressure. So, minsan, walang magbabasa. Pero minsan, nagkakaroon, may magko-comment, ganyan. And then, nung medyo nasanay na ako sa ganong practice of every week may sinusulat ako, like every 2 weeks, ganyan, tinry ko na mag-submit sa online magazine. So at that time, ang nakita kong online magazines ay mga western. Like gawa lang din ng mga kapwa ko teenager. Tapos syempre wala siyang bayad kasi lahat kami ginagawa namin yun for the love of the game. Pero syempre, i-advise ko na maghanap na kayo ng paid para naman hindi sayang yung labor nyo, di ba? Kasi labor naman yan eh. So, ayun, so nung gano'n, wala naman akong kaibigan na writer din, wala akong ayun nga, wala akong mapagtatanungan. So dun talaga ako natuto in the process itself. Like yung editors ko mismo yung nagsabi na, "Okay, ganito gawin mo," or parang ito yung mga edits ko sa'yo on how to improve. Tas ginawa ko lang siya ng ginawa, na submit lang ako ng submit sa kanila hanggang sa parang mas nasanay na ako, tas hanggang sa nakabuo na ako ng portfolio that led me to Youngstar. Ayun, so try lang ng try. I think Substack talaga, sobrang useful niya kasi ang dami mo ding mami-meet, ang daming Pilipino diyan, I would say. Parang nung una wala masyado, ngayon recently sobrang dumadami sila. May mga articles in Filipino na hindi ko alam dati na may gano'n pala. So ayun, parang it opens you up to a network. So siguro at the end of the day parang take the leap of faith, gano'n na parang try mo lang na i-publish mo lang siya, ipasa mo lang siya, who knows 'di ba kung anong mangyayari.